We're going to be more efficient. I am not afraid of AI at all.
Today, my guest is Chairman and CEO of Arthur J. Gallagher, Pat Gallagher. Pat, great to see you today.
Thanks, Al. Great to be with you.
I'm very happy. I was very excited to do this with you. We have a long history in this business together, not to age ourselves, but I think I started this business shortly after you guys went public, I think, which was probably like the early to mid 80s, if I'm not mistaken.
We went public in 1984.
That's what I thought.
We raised a whopping $11 million, and we finished the year with a $79 million market cap.
Unbelievable, right? Boy, have things changed. And look where you are today. You've built one of the premier companies worldwide here. Fantastic job. And which always has, I've been real interested in, it always was intriguing to me how, you kept that entrepreneurial spirit while doing it, that insurance brokerage type mentality with family business. I mean, all the generations you've gone through. It's been amazing, Pat, to watch what you've done. And, certainly, no one could deny the great business that you've built.
Well, thank you, Al. You're very kind. I mean, it's been a huge team effort from the very beginning. Blessed by having great mentors my whole life, my uncle and my dad included in that, and just being in the greatest business on the planet. I say that to our interns every summer. Take a look at this business. Half of them have never even learned how to spell insurance. And it's like, guys, gals, this is the best business on the planet.
Right. I always say high margin, residuals, need the product by law, at least most of them. And, it's probably the best kept secret that young people don't get into as much anymore. And more should, because it's a fantastic business. And I fell into it. I wasn't expecting to be into it. I actually still hold my insurance licenses, which most people don't know, because I started with Liberty Mutual out of college and was frustrated with them. And, I ended up going back to the headhunter who got me the job. And he said, why don't you do this? And certainly I started doing it from the headhunting side and, got to know folks like you. And then it became the M&A stuff and, built a pretty good business ourselves over here in the last 38 years. Okay.
Well, you take a look at our industry. One of the things I think people don't recognize is they don't recognize the size. So this is a $7 trillion premium business globally. And,
right.
and that's Swiss Re numbers. And you look at that and you realize the impact that we have on society and spreading risk. And look at things like the Gulf War coming up now and the value that insurance is adding to that whole dilemma. And then you realize how competitive and fun the business is. And then it's rewarding. People make a good living. And at the end of every single product we sell, everything we sell through and for our clients basically puts people's lives back together. That's a pretty noble profession.
100%. It's a great industry. I mean, I'm so fortunate to be into it, not directly selling the stuff, but working with folks like you and being able to build a business on the other side of the ball that's been very, very successful. Pat, I got to get this out of the way because you taught me one thing that I live by, okay? And everyone will tell you that works with me a long time ago when we talked, and you probably don't remember it, but I was talking to you one day, and you always answer your phone, which is amazing. Most guys at your level, they have 5 assistants answer their phone until they get to you and whatnot. But you always answered your phone. You picked up the phone. We were talking about a deal, and you said, Al, the only time we screw these things up is when we pick the wrong people. And I've taken that and adopted it. And my whole slogan now is people buy people, right? They don't buy businesses.
That's a good slogan.
Yeah, and I've adopted that from you. I'm giving you all the credit. I piggybacked off of that one statement you made to me years ago, and I don't want to age myself too much. So I'm a young 64. Okay. But that was something that stuck with me. And that's something we use when we market and we talk to our clients that, they need to understand that, people aren't just buying your business, they're buying you. And that's where you've been so successful, and you call these, I think you use the term partnerships You're not using acquisitions. And man, when you look at your business, what you've done, it's been amazing, Pat. I mean, it's just top of the class, first class, not just yourself, but all your people. Just a load of good people that you've brought on, and that's because you focused on the people, right? First,
thank you.
And
You're right.
That's the key to the whole thing.
That's it in a nutshell. You're exactly right. Thank you.
So Pat, lots going on in the market these days, and that's constant, right? And I've been through many, many cycles of it. Not just, the soft market I'm not talking about, which we're experiencing now from an insurance side, but obviously the M&A market, the global markets, all the different things that are going on out there and that, potentially affect insurance brokerage, which really is recession proof anyway, in my opinion, because people want to invest in this business no matter what, because of those factors, the residual factor, the high margin. Okay. The bottom line here is some things have changed, including, the opportunity for some folks like Gallagher who have just done a couple significant transactions. Congratulations on Woodruff Sawyer, Assured Partners. Those are marquee names, right? And only high quality firms like Gallagher could absorb them and, integrate them, which, we know is the biggest challenge, right? That's out there all the time, integrating people. Where does Gallagher sit today? The strategy, has it kind of continues to evolve. I mean, you keep your same core principles. I know that because you live by that, which is very, very amicable. But, how do you see, the current state of Gallagher and the future? And, what you think the opportunities are out there. There's been a little bit of turmoil now recently with AI and all this stuff. Where do you see you sit right now?
Well, thank you for the opportunity to kind of use a bully pulpit here. But I think that, we've been blessed in the fact that we have accumulated a good team. And I think we've also put ourselves in a position over the years. One of the things we talk about, in addition to talking about our mergers as partners, we also say that when we do an acquisition, we're not just getting revenue and earnings. That's a key part of it, no question about it. But we're accumulating brain power. And if you take a look at our vertical capabilities, if you look at our niches, and you take a look at the things that we do that we have deep knowledge in, I believe we're second to none. And now you expand that to a global proposition where we are literally around the globe. And we've developed a firm that can say any account of any size located anywhere in the world, we can be helpful. We can actually say, yes, we do that. And I've had that conversation with risk management clients on the very large side, all the way down to middle market and small clients. Pat, can you do this? I'm like, I guarantee you we have someone that not only can do it, they can do it well because they're experts in it. And thank you for mentioning our culture. We've been able to continue to build a culture that does that for our clients together. It is entrepreneurial, but at the same time, we recognize the strength of our communicating well, our working together well. We say to people all the time, if you walk into a meeting at Gallagher and you're a Gallagher person, if you will assume you're going to like those people, you won't be disappointed very often. And by the way, the meeting will go well. And I think that's true. And we focus on what is the need of the client. And I think that, we've been able to maintain that. We put ourselves in a position to be helpful across literally hundreds of countries all around the globe, and with a team that really likes doing it together.
You created a lot of firsts in the industry. And when I say that, when I look at Gallagher, from the retail perspective and creating the wholesale arm, RPS, right? I mean, that was ingenious in its own right because, so many people now are doing it. It used to be 10 years ago, if you were a retailer, you couldn't be a wholesaler. Everyone thought there was conflicts of interest. Now, if you're not both, you're really not that competitive, right? You have to be able to entertain all. So you were ahead of your time on that, Pat. Okay. The other thing I think which is interesting with Gallagher when we bring opportunities to you is how you separate the divisions. The EB company, employee benefits, is a separate company. Really, it's the same company but a separate division. If somebody has EB and P&C. The EB folks report into the EB folks, the P&C folks report, and it's very distinct. I think that's been a first amongst your peer group. on how you've broke that out too, which
And
I think is
that's an
very
example.
smart.
That's a really good example of listening to our sellers, to people who are joining us. And you've done more acquisitions by far than we have. But, when you get into this, oftentimes the entrepreneur that runs the business thinks everybody likes the status quo. But if you get down into the business and start talking to people, the EB people want to play in an EB company that really understands them. The property casualty people will tell you they don't really understand benefits. They're happy to bring them in and help cross-sell, but they're PC people. And I think that we're seeing that as not a detriment to our acquisitions, but actually an additive to it.
No, I think it was very smart, is my point. I think you're right. I mean, a lot of these firms, did kind of EB as an accommodation to their property casualty, right? Some were, there's a lot more P&C firms than there are straight EB firms. Although, there's a lot of EB firms that have evolved over the years and a lot of good ones. But I think those are things where you become a first, in my opinion, and a leader, as well as getting out of the States, the things you've done overseas and whatnot, and saw the opportunities there to create that. A lot of people would be gun shy, but I think you always have been strategic in everything you've done. And it showed on not only your growth, but your profitability and your culture. I mean, you're staying within your culture, Pat. I think that's the key that I see with Gallagher more than anything. And a lot of it resonates to what insurance brokerage is. A lot of entrepreneurs and family businesses. How many Gallaghers are in there now? I mean, I've seen a lot of it, okay, over the years. Once again, not to age myself, but I just think that you kept those core values in place more than almost anybody, I would say, in the country. And, and listen, being public, a lot of people now are trying to do it because it becomes an alternative because, all this private equity money that's come into the space, right, okay, over especially the last 15 years, okay, has really kind of changed the landscape. But, now they're finding out the options are thin because when you get too big, it's impossible to have private equity fund these anymore, or at least without multiple people or multiple investors, which kind of takes away from that leverage on the equity. You've stayed the course, and you've been, Gallagher's, other than changing with the times, you've been consistent as the day is long.
Well, thank you for saying that. I think that's right, and I think that at the same time, again, I appreciate you bringing it up, but our core values are sacrosanct. And you get people that question that. We're 70,000 people, and people told me at 500, you're going to lose it. At 1,000, it'll never stay together. At 10,000, you can't have a culture. And I'll tell you what, most of the acquisitions we do, and this, are tuck-ins. These are people that want to be with people like themselves. Right. They want to take care of clients. They want to go out and sell. They love our business. And when they get inside Gallagher, what do they find? We're an amalgamation of people like them. We love the insurance business. We love to sell. We understand that we've got to take care of clients. And at the same time, we have fun together. And I think that is all exactly what you're talking about. It comes down to culture that we work very, very hard at maintaining. And frankly, Al, what's kind of interesting is if you don't fit here, there's not a lot of bloodshed. You just tend to go somewhere else. Right. And that's okay.
Right. Not everything's for everybody, but
right.
I think you have enough verticals and enough divisions and things that you put in place that there kind of is a place for everybody with Gallagher if they fit the culture.
That's right. That's exactly right. And then we're going to have 550 kids at our internship in a month, 2 months. And it's unbelievable. It's so much fun, Al. I'll tell you what, it is so much fun. And we bring them all into Chicago. They're from around the country. And then outside the United States, we do something a little different. But they'll come here for a week of global training. Then they go back to the respective branches. We have about 60 in Chicago. And I'm telling you, it lights the company up for the summer. And these young people, like you were talking about falling into business, some of them are related, some are friends and family, but there's an awful lot of them that just came to us because word of mouth, they've gone on the internet, they've made their application, and you see it light up in them, and they get excited about it. It's as we started off saying, it's just a great business, and We bring these young people in, and it just really, really makes the summer fantastic. And I'll tell you, that internship, I'm a graduate of it when we had all of 4 whopping interns, but that internship has been hugely, hugely important to Gallagher.
Well, I think that's what, at least for myself, and I'm not going to speak for you, but I have a pretty good idea. That's what keeps guys like us interested in this, is developing these young people. Because, my business is a pimple compared to yours, okay? But right now, at my stage of my life, with the winds at my back, we've had plenty of success, made plenty of money. It's not about that. It's now continuing this business to try to make it something that's going to last. Okay, my son just joined me 6 months ago. My daughter's been with me, for years. They're still very young, but I brought in a lot of young people, and that's what we're building this for them to have the success and the wealth opportunity that I've had, and that's what I come to work for every day, Pat.
Yeah, I'm 74 years old, and I can't wait to get to work in the morning.
Yeah, well, listen, my father worked till he was 79. He was in the aerospace business. They made him stop. He could multiply 3 three-digit numbers in his head at that time still. He was sharp as hell. And as soon as they made him stop, I begged the guy to let him come in, pay him $1, half day, whatever, to keep his mind sharp. And as soon as they made him stop, unfortunately, Alzheimer's took him in a short period of time. And I said to myself, that's not going to be me. Not going to be me, because I saw how that was, and I'm fortunate enough to control that. But Pat, just shifting gears back to the marketplace, right? The Assured deal, the Risk Strategies deal, those were deals where I think those companies really felt they wanted to stay private, or be able to go public themselves. So what we saw is, I think a couple people went out to the market and said, hey, geez, we were just going to get a big multiple, have multiple investors throw money at us. And I think they got a little blindsided. Mike Christian's one of my bestest friends in the industry, one of the best insurance guys in the country, a great guy. We did about 40% of his deals over his career, and built a great company. How you've seen since, this last 15 years, where the evolution of all these firms, and, a couple of them got big quick and might have made some, errors in their judgment of how to do it. But how did you see the competition on the M&A side for you change or evolve at all? I mean, you still do a ton of deals. You still have a great name, but has it done anything for you? Because it seems like it's a full cycle, Pat. It looks like it's coming back to you now from where it was before all this private equity money.
Well, yeah, I think your read on it is probably actually closer to the nub than mine would be. But first of all, how did we do it? Well, we just stuck to our knitting. We said, we're going to try to find successful businesses run by people that we like, that love this business. 95 to 99% of our due diligence is on culture. We don't get it right 100% of the time, but I'll tell you what, our failure rate, you talk to the B school professors, they think I'm lying. Our failure rate is less than 5%. And that is always because of what we talked about at the opening of this interview. Somehow they got it wrong, I got it wrong, we got it wrong on the people. We just don't fit. So when you get that right, good things happen. And I think you're exactly right. Things change, and that's part of the fun of the business. Multiples got driven sky high by private equity money. Of course, there was a time when I couldn't answer the phone that wasn't a private equity player trying to talk me into going private. I had my own officers at some time saying, we ought to maybe consider this. And I kept saying no. It took us a long time to get ourselves public. That's where we are, and that's where we're going to stay. And I think that strategy has served us well. Now, I do think that we've got to change, but life is cyclical. And I think, you've got a lot of question marks now about private debt. And you hear Jamie Dimon talking about it and others. You've got a lot of question marks about what's going on with the market itself. It's clearly a soft market. We've gone through the longest extended hard market ever in the history of the cycles. And we're now into a soft market, which tend to last a long time. Private equity's got 5, 6, 7, 8 years of time frame that they like to work within. I don't think they can commit to that to their investors anymore. You've got multiples that were scratching 20 that, historic multiples in our business are substantially less than that. We are leading the way and saying, look, multiples got to come down. And that's just a fact, because we are not in the business of diluting our shareholders. So if our multiple's down, we can't simply pay what somebody would like to get. So I think all that is coming together. And there's one consistent message that I like to send to your customers, to your prospects, and that is we're in this business. This is what we do and what we love. And if you join Gallagher, you're going to be with somebody that you're with forever. And one of the things that I've learned is as we've done these acquisitions of private equity owned enterprises, the sigh of relief that people have when they say it's my last deal. I'm home. That I'm not going to have to be teed up to sell again. And I get that. That not that anybody was bluffing anybody. Jim Henderson, Randy, that team, they did a good job of telling the people they bought that the model was to accumulate, the model was to get efficient, the model was to get some scale and sell it. Now, they did think that maybe there was a chance to go public, and I do think they learned that that wasn't that easy.
No.
And you can see out there their competitions in the market, some of whom have promised their people they're going public, and they're nowhere.
No.
It's not that easy to get out the door. By the way, once you're out the door public, now you got to compete with myself and my other strategics who have been public for 40 years and have a track record. And you got to say to the investment community, don't buy them, buy me. Well, why would anybody do that? You go get a 40-year track record. So that it's hard everywhere you turn. And then you sit there and you look at someone like me who goes, we've got a good group of young people coming up. We've got line of sight to double in this business multiple times in the next 25 years. Why would you want to go anyplace else? The platform you get to sell insurance on, it's the best platform in the business, I believe. Our vertical capabilities, our global capabilities, the culture that we've got, and then we haven't even touched on tech yet. Our tech spend is $1.5 billion a year. A ton of that is R&D. A ton of that. So you talk to Assured Partners, and these guys, they would tell you, honestly, they'd tell you that they didn't have any money to spend on investment. I mean, they spent their money on agency systems, but they never even integrated. Well, so they don't have a data. Our data that we work on, our data and analytics, is our proprietary data. That's our actual data. We don't buy it from Xywave and someplace else. This is what's happening in our book of business. So to me, it is changing. It's cyclical. Multiples are coming down. Whether people want to believe that or not, that's fine. I think that it's still a great business to sell. It's a great business to be able to continue to build your own equity growth. And I look at it now, a year ago, just about 14 months ago, our stock was trading at $351. And there were analysts saying 400's in sight. And here we are at 222 or whatever we are today. I'd get on board this train, I'll tell you that.
No doubt, because it'll definitely come back. I always view these things. I always view these things as cyclical. From 38 years of doing this, I call it the hula hoop. Right? There's fads. Right? Things happen. So AI. Right? Talk about technology. You see it as a threat in any way, or do you see it as something that can really enhance what you're doing?
It is absolutely not a threat to the brokerage world, in my opinion, and in particular to Gallagher. And I'll tell you exactly why. We had after the big crash, Mike Pesch, went home that night, and everybody's like, AI is going to take over the world. So he invented a company. It was, I think, a florist in Elk Grove Village, Illinois. $2 million, $3 million in sales, 8 employees, 3 trucks. And he asked ChatGPT, what should I get? And by the way, ChatGPT did a good job. You need comprehensive general liability. And here's what it does. Oh, by the way, it doesn't do your auto liability, so you need an auto form. Now, you get the auto form, that includes the auto property, but it doesn't include the property that you need to do with your comprehensive general liability in a package, neither of which cover your workers' compensation. And that workers' compensation comes with employer's liability. Now, we haven't even talked about cyber or umbrella. 5 pages in, the machine says, and you better talk to an insurance professional. So AI already is having a major impact on our, what I would call, rote work, and giving us time to be more professional in giving advice to clients. And if you take all the people that you've met, Al, and you say, okay, let's take a large auto dealer and let's take a small contractor. Do you think they want to divert 5 hours of their time to figure out a professional approach to their insurance, they want an advisor. And
Right.
I lived through this with Elliot Spitzer, a name that you and I remember and many don't.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, yeah.
We had to go transparent. We agreed with Elliot Spitzer and Lisa Madigan, the Attorney General of Illinois, that we would be transparent in everything we do with our clients. And we are. So if you're a client or you're a prospect, you know exactly what I'm making. Do you think I've had any trouble with that since 2006 when we went completely transparent? No, because they understand the value. And I think, to me, what you're going to see is we're going to be more efficient, we're going to be more professional, we're going to make our clients more knowledgeable, we're going to be faster, we're going to be more profitable, and that all works for everybody. I am not afraid of AI at all.
No, I agree with you 1,000%. There's been different versions of it on the tech side coming up where everything was going to be gone. You know, the small group business would be gone. The brokers will be taken over by this, by that. I've never seen it happen. I never will. This is a relationship business, but hopefully AI makes people even much more efficient. That's what the hope is, right? Out of it, because that's what you should really utilize it for.
So I had another situation like that. I had an AI review of a couple of policies on a commercial account. I was with a friend of mine who was an Accenture consultant, smart guy, business consultant. I gave it to him and said, "Here, Brett," I said, "Scott, read this, would you?" He looked at it, he got about a page, and he goes, "I don't have a clue what any of this means." I said, "There you go. Now, would you like an interpreter?" He goes, "If I'm buying insurance, I sure would." You think he's going to go back and say to the bot, "Well, now make sense of this for me, a layman, and help me"? It's not like saying, "Can you get me to St. Louis?" That's easy. You know, but how about cyber cover? And how about the fact that our market changes every day, whether it's hardening, softening? Big thing right now. Okay. We've all learned to deal with cyber cover. That's something new, let's say, in the last 12 years. But on top of cyber, there's a lot of discussion as to what's going to be included and not included as it relates to AI. So now we're talking internally about what policies, and it can be property all the way through to D&O, is changing relative to AI. I can't be selling D&O to a bunch of directors out there who don't have cover for their people experimenting with and using AI. Everybody's doing it. So we've got to be on top of that stuff. You think the bot's going to be there with us?
No, I think I can't agree more with you, Pat. And you know, it's all cycles. You got to sit back and weather the storm. Take it a day at a time. You know, like I said, you have been a best-in-class business, and not only a best-in-class business, but a best-in-class group of people, you know, led by you and your family members before you, you know, and you know, I'm just elated that we had the opportunity to do this today. I covered, you know, everything that I wanted to cover today. I know I don't want to keep too much of your time, but certainly if there's anything else that you'd like to cover, please, let's do it. But I thought this was excellent. I really appreciate the time.
Oh, Al, thank you for the time. I appreciate the interview. And, you know, I think the two of us as old dogs in the industry, I'm older than you are, but, you know, you look at it, as I said, we've got these interns coming in and we're bringing young people in this business, greatest business on the planet. Our clients need us. And by the way, they know it. You know, most of our business is commercial middle market. We do great in the risk management world as well. Don't get me wrong. But these people need us every single day. And, you know, fulfilling that need and taking care of those people, it's a really noble profession. I'm very proud of it. So thank you for the time to talk about that today. I appreciate it.
Well, you've done a hell of a job with it because the results speak for themselves. And like I said, I really am thankful we got a chance to do this. And, you know, best of luck. We'll continue to be supporters of Gallagher as we've been for all my career. I got a couple nice ones coming your way. So stay tuned. But stay tuned. But let's keep in touch. And certainly, Pat, thanks again for your time today.
Thank you, Al. Appreciate it very much. Take care.
For more information about your unique situation, please contact Sika Fletcher or visit us at www.sikafletcher.com. All opinions expressed by the host and guests are their own and are not necessarily those of Sika Fletcher. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as professional advice. Sika Fletcher employees and clients may have positions in the firms discussed in this podcast. Any information provided is subject to change and does not constitute an offer to purchase or sell any financial product. Sika Fletcher LLC does not underwrite securities, nor advise on, nor affect transactions in securities for the account of others.